Today, I want to share a story that anyone considering education migration absolutely needs to hear. A Japanese family with children at an international school in Penang was suddenly told by the school, just 6 days before their visa expired, that there wasn't enough time. The family of 5 had to make an emergency exit to Thailand.
Imagine having 3 kids, the youngest just 1 year old, and being told you have to leave the country immediately. And the thing is, this wasn't because the family made a mistake. The school's visa support simply wasn't functioning properly.
Today, through this case, we'll talk specifically about what people tend to overlook when it comes to risk management in education migration. Let me lay out the timeline. In October 2024, the family visited an international school in Penang and decided to transfer. Before that, they confirmed with the school whether switching from an employment pass to a guardian visa was possible. The school guaranteed it was. They paid over 28,000 ringgit in security deposit and enrollment fees, and started in January 2025.
But right after enrollment, the officer in charge was suddenly replaced with zero handover. The new officer had no idea about the family's situation. Within 3 weeks, they received 2 contradictory answers. On top of that, the visa options the school presented were both legally incorrect. The correct procedure was to apply for the switch while the existing visa was still valid, but the school told the family to wait for it to expire.
Then from April to September, a full 6 months, the school completely neglected the application. They never even obtained a reference number. On October 14th, just 6 days before the deadline, they finally said there wasn't enough time. On October 22nd, the family made their emergency exit. Those are the facts. From a business perspective, this is a governance failure. Visa support depended entirely on one individual's knowledge, not on any system. So when that person was replaced, everything collapsed. And despite invoices existing for this as a paid service, when problems arose, they denied responsibility. This is a structural defect.
What's more, the school prohibited parents from visiting the immigration office directly, yet they shifted responsibility onto the parents. They claimed the wife chose to wait for the visa to lapse. But the family simply chose from the options the school itself presented. And the school approved that choice in writing with the words "Yes, you may."
The principal eventually admitted that the operational framework may not be fully established. In other words, they were providing a paid service without the proper systems in place. And to put this in perspective, another international school in Penang had a formal immigration guide clearly stating that applications should be submitted at least 1 month before visa expiry. That's the gap we're talking about within the same region. What most people miss is how visa status and financial assets are interconnected. When your visa expires, your bank accounts are effectively frozen. Transfers get rejected, new accounts can't be opened. People researching education migration look into visa procedures, but very few design around how their bank accounts will be affected.
This family wanted to pay school fees but physically couldn't. On top of that, 3 months of bank transfer records were broken, which then made it impossible to meet the requirements for the new visa application. A complete downward spiral. The father had to fly back to Japan just to reactivate a bank account, separating him from the children.
It wasn't just about costs. The family was physically split apart.
What concerns me most is the impact on the children. Sleep disorders, school refusal, separation anxiety. 3 children aged 7, 5, and 1, suddenly uprooted because of adult circumstances. The principal said the children are not related to this matter, but in reality, the children were the ones most affected.
What this case shows is that a school's brand or high fees don't guarantee the quality of visa support. What matters is the governance structure. Is there external oversight like a UK headquarters? Are visa procedures documented and systematized? Very few people include these in their selection criteria.
The key lesson is that you can't leave everything to the school the way you might in Japan. Japanese systems cover every detail, but overseas, there are situations where nobody will protect you unless you take initiative. This needs to be a fundamental assumption of living abroad.
Delegating to professionals is the right call. But even when you delegate, you need your own monitoring system. Put visa deadlines in your own calendar, check progress regularly. Delegation and monitoring are 2 separate things.
And keep every communication in writing. Even if you get verbal approval, you can't prove it later. In this case, the written approval was on record, but if it had been verbal only, everything could have been denied.
My view is that this could likely have been prevented at the due diligence stage before enrollment. Not just asking is visa support possible, but asking how many cases have you handled, what's the handover process when officers change, and where are the procedures documented? Schools that can't answer those questions reveal themselves right there.
I agree with that, but officer turnover can happen at any school, right? Even if the setup is perfect when you enroll, it could change a year later. That's why I think the most practical measure is to have your own system for regularly checking your visa status, rather than relying entirely on the school.
Do both, that's the answer. Due diligence during selection and self-monitoring after enrollment. One without the other isn't enough. Let me summarize today's 5 key points. First, verify the school's governance structure. Is there external oversight like a UK headquarters? Second, confirm the visa support track record with specifics. Yes, it's possible isn't enough. Ask about the number of cases, documentation, and handover processes.
Third, maintain multiple bank accounts and design your assets so they're not dependent on visa status. Fourth, don't leave visa deadline management to the school alone. Put it in your own calendar and check progress regularly.
Fifth, keep every communication in writing. Verbal confirmations can't be proven. Education migration is a long-term investment in your children. Please design your risk management with the same level of precision you'd apply to protecting that investment.
We're not trying to make you anxious about education migration. We shared this today because we want you to be properly prepared.
We've put a link to the visa checklist in the description below. If you subscribe to our channel, we'll keep bringing you education migration updates from Penang and Malaysia.